वेद्या विचक्षणमवेक्ष्य गताधिरासीत्
Vidya vichakshanamavikshya gatadirasit.
सम्प्राश्य प्रणयविह्वलया गिरेश
Samprashraya pranaya vihalaya giresha.
क्रीडावलोकविलसद्दसिताननाः
Vridavaloka vilasadasita.
I'd like to chant now.
Okay.
You can keep up that verse.
Yeah.
Evam Bruvanam Bala Kila Yoga Maya.
Evam bruvana valakila yoga maya.
Vidya Vichakshanam Avishya Gatadirasit.
Vidya vichakshanamavikshya gatadirasit.
Samprashaya Pranaya Vihlavaya Kireshad.
Samprashraya pranaya lakalaya giresha.
Vridhavaloka Vilasad Dasitananaha.
Vridavaloka vilasadasita. Okay, I think that's, yeah, everybody went.
Okay, so recovered terms. Evam.
Evam.
Thus. Ravanam.
Ruvanam.
Speaking.
Speaking.
Avala.
Avala.
The woman.
A woman.
All Yogamaya of transcendental science. Vidya Viksanam, excelling in knowledge. Aveksha, after hearing. Gata Adi, satisfied. Asit, she became. Samprashaya, with humility. Pranalaya, and with love. Vivalaya, choked up. Gira, with a voice. Aisat, slightly. Brida, bashful. Avaloka, with a glance. Vilasat, shining. Asita, smiling. Anana, her face. Aha, she spoke. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all the recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga, and meditation. Devahuti's husband was so expert in the transcendental science that there was nothing for him to argue about, and when she heard him speak, she was confident that since he was very much advanced in devotional service, he had already surpassed all transcendental educational activities. She had no doubt about the gifts offered by her husband. She knew that he was expert in offering such gifts, and when she understood that he was offering the greatest gift, she was very satisfied. She was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and therefore she could not reply. Then, with faltering language, just like an attractive wife, she spoke the following words. Okay, great. So then, the greatest thing, the greatest gifts going back to Godhead. And so did you know this? That those who are engaged in devotional services be understood that you have studied all of the Vedas. Right. Did you know that? Right. Okay. Yeah. You've already surpassed all of the, whether, we've been studying the Vedas in our past lives or whatever the situation is. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Veda Shavidir by all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known, right? Is Krishna to be known. So Devahuti gets Kapila Deva as her son. And now the verse that I've been listening to, I've been listening to this over and over and over again. as it was very, very highly scientific, and the sannyasi that's speaking has a very eloquent speaking voice. So the Supreme Lord explains himself in 7 different ways. Okay, and how it is explained is one of them was nirguna, right, or nirkara, right. There's something called nirahankara, like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states nirmama nirahankara. This is not me and nothing's mine. Ahankara means ego, but this is nirkara, right, or nirguna, right. So there's a positive and a negative. The negative is nirguna, the positive is saguna. That the Supreme Lord does not possess form, right? It does not possess a material form, right? And so one of the other principles is that the Lord is both within and without. So they're saying within our experience, we're either inside or we're either outside. Now here we're talking about how the Supreme Personality of God, the Supreme Lord, is both within and without. He's both inside and he's both outside. Right. So they're self-effulgent. So this is going to be 3 now. How the Lord explains himself in 7 different ways. Right. So try to memorize these. So he says self-effulgent. So the Supreme Lord is actually omniscient, right? Which is, okay, that's got to be the 4th principle. Omniscient, all-pervading, is that through the agency of Brahman, through his self-effulgent is manifested everywhere through the agency of Brahman. Just like as the sun manifests its sunlight throughout the entire universe. So throughout the entire spiritual world and throughout the entire material world, in which all the millions of suns are reflecting, is the Brahman, and that the Supreme Lord is through his agency, Brahman is all pervading and is everywhere present. So let's see. So that's 4. I have to think about these other ones. Because there was something I was looking up. Abhidheya. Let's see. So we're talking about self-effulgent. Oh yeah. Okay. He's existed before the creation and maintains the universe and continues to exist after the annihilation of the creation. So these are all really basic terms. We've already studied these over and over and over again. And Krishna explains them in the Bhagavad Gita in so many different ways. So this is the subject matter that Kapila Dev explains to her mother. And another point that he's pointing out is that since Devahuti is Lord Kapila's mother, then that means Lord Kapila is subordinate as a son to his mother. So generally, the mother generally guides the son in the right way, in the right direction. But here she's taking instructions from her son, from Kapila Dev, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about devotional service and about the practices of devotional service, the nomenclature of the self and the Supreme Self, that the self is a part and parcel of Krishna, is a small, tiny sample of Krishna, that we're not the material body. Lord Kapila Dev goes on to explain in so many different ways. There's a whole chapter devoted to adverse reactions to karmic activities. Adverse reactions to fruitive activities. So that's a whole nother chapter in itself. I've explained that one quite a few times, quite a few ways. But there, the sannyasi, he was going on to state that he was at the airport, or the train station, or somewhere he was traveling, he was at the station. And a Muslim came up and asked him if he was the spiritual master. And he's a sannyasi, and he mentioned, yeah, I'm a spiritual master. So he says, I really don't get the idea of the Archavigraha, your deity, right? You're worshiping the deity. He was more of an impersonalist. If the Lord is everywhere present and has no material form, right? So
he said, well, when you go to the temple, do you think that God is there? Does God see you? He goes, yeah. He says, okay, well, when you say your prayers, you think God hears you? He says, yeah. Right. So he says, there's so many different ways. He says, well, to see, you have to have eyes, and to hear, you have to have ears. Right. So he said this kind of clicked with this person. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. How's an impersonal energy? It was all pervading everywhere, actually really seeing you and hearing you. Although you kind of know it's possible, but it's a vague notion, right? It's in some sort of impersonal kind of a way. And not only that, but through the agency of Paramatma within each and every atom, if the Lord is seeing and hearing, how many different perspectives he can actually really perceive, all of the living entities from all the different various perspectives like that, but he's localized, as one person. He's the same identity, not many identities, this supreme identity in each and every atom, millions and thousands of atoms throughout the entire universe. Yeah, I mentioned this. They had they made some sort of a ball, a sphere, and it's completely polished and it's completely precision. It's supposed to contain an exact amount of atoms. So if you take this specific sphere and multiply it by the size of the universe, then you should be able to calculate how many atoms are in the universe, right? And Brahma, he was even stating, he states, about this verse where Brahma states that even if the material scientists were able to calculate or estimate the amount of atoms within the universe, still they wouldn't be able to estimate the innumerable forms, names, and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, right? So it goes on that so many different names, forms, and what is that? I guess activities, names, forms, activities in the material world. They're just like so many different bubbles in the foam and the ocean and the waves of the ocean that are just constantly popping and becoming manifest again, and they continue to pop, right? So it's useless. There's so many different temporary names and forms that come into existence and disappear, right? They also use the analogy of the waves of the ocean and the foam. It's like innumerable incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that just continue to come, just like the waves of the ocean and all the bubbles and the foam. You can't count them, or as many grains of sand as there are. Right? You can't count them or estimate them. So the Supreme Lord has many names and forms and pastimes. So, do we have any subject matter for discussion or anything? Yeah, you had a question. I thought maybe you might have had a question. I thought maybe you raised your hand. Oh, a lot of questions? Oh, okay, good.
This question is more of like a detail, but it's kind of like it's bothered me for a long time. So I was just wondering, let me see where I put it. Hold on. So my question is, when we're using the analogy of the sun to describe Krishna's energies, like the sun rays, the sunshine, and the sun planet and the sun god, why don't we use the Paramatma example for the sun god? Because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah, Prabhupada calls it King Vivaswan, King Sun, right? He's the predominating deity of the sun is Vivaswan. So Vivaswan indirectly through his energies, the sunshine, right? So this is a material example, right? Is exhibited, as his energy, the separated energy, the sunshine, right? Just as in the same way, the Paramatma or Brahman, all pervasive light, all pervasive light, heat, and Kshara Dakshay Vishnu, right, within each and every atom is manifested. So the Vivishwan, right, King Vivishwan, President Vivishwan in the Sun Planet, right, he's the predominating deity, where the predominating deity of the entire universe, who has actually the soul of the universe, is Paramatma, Vishnu Paramatma Brahman, right? Just as Vivishwan may be the soul of the sun, right? So the Paramatma, right, yeah, is the soul of the material universe. So that's Krishna's material body, is our big giant material universe. Yeah, you have a question? So that makes sense. I can explain more things about the sun too. Want to know? Yeah, you had a question.
Can I elaborate on your explanation, Prabhu?
Oh, sure.
So the Paramatma part of that analogy is that, and we'll just take it like right here, right now. So we're inside of this building and we're personally feeling the sun rays coming through that window, right? So we're experiencing the energy of the sun. But why isn't the sun coming out of that window?
Right, and not the other window. Why is the sun coming in all the windows?
It's kind of coming in all the windows, but it's mostly coming in that window. Why? Because the sun is localized through that direction, physically, geometrically. It's through that window. There's a disk. That disk in the sky is the reference to the Paramatma. So the Lord has all pervasive energy, and his energy is everywhere, but he's personally within the atom and within the heart. That's the localized source of all the energy. But then the Paramatma, right, is having how is the Paramatma spread in every heart, which is a localized, it's a place, it's a location, right? Who's the source of that? That's Krishna. So similarly, the source of the sun disk, which we see through this angle, is the sun God. He's a person. That's the idea.
Yeah, they were talking about Sasrit Das Goswami was talking about this one. He was saying, now, what about the question of a heart transplant, open heart surgery or heart transplant? Right now, is the soul transferred, right, from the heart, to another heart, or you're getting another soul in the new heart? So what he was saying, he gave the analogy that if you're in the living room and you got your feet up, and somebody's coming by, they're vacuuming and they're cleaning, right? It's like, could you please lift your feet up? Could you please stand up, please? We're going to change your seat. We're going to change the chair, and then you can sit back down, right? So that was the analogy that he gave on that. Heart surgery and the spiritual soul localized within the heart. It's just like the cleaning person coming by and giving you a new chair. Could you please get up for a second? Could you please raise your feet? Okay, thank you. Right. And so now another aspect is that the consciousness of the spiritual soul, the Jiva Atma, part and parcel of Krishna, Satchidananda, is consciousness is spread throughout the entire body, just as if some Jaya Gora Nitai Jaya. Yeah, just as if some active principle, the principle of an active medicine spreads throughout the entire body. Right. So it's the same way how the sun is generating its heat and light all throughout the entire universe. So the spiritual soul is generating the consciousness throughout the entire body. And let's see, there was another one about how the Paramatma is one. It's not many different Vishnus, right? And he's holding a club, wheel of a chariot, disc, conch shell, and lotus flower. right? And depending on the specific name and the forms, his symbols change in his hands. This is explained in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's, I believe, it's Janardana, and he has, he's holding a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower, right? So they're saying if you have many different vessels, many, you know, these copper pots that we have that we use, we got a lot of them. Okay, if you fill them with water and you set them up, and right, they'll reflect the. Each one of them will have a reflection of the sun in it. Right now, these aren't many suns; it's still the same one sun. Right, so it's still pretty much in the same way as Paramatma being within each and every atom. Right, or as Magdari was saying, how the sun is localized because the sun is coming through this window just a little bit more because the sun is localized. It's rising, 12 noon, it's right above us. Right now it's morning. It rises from east and west. And during the winter time, it travels on the southern horizon. And during the summertime, it travels on the northern horizon. So it's only according to our angle of vision, just our specific perspective. If the clouds are in the sky and we don't see the sun, it does not mean that the sun isn't there. It's just that our vision is clouded, that we can't see it. So they were saying the same perspective, that Supreme Lord is actually present everywhere, but it's due to our vision is cloudy, that we actually don't see God or Krishna within our activities, within the sphere, within the, within and without, right? But through training and knowledge, through Shastra Chakshusha, we can understand that Krishna is within each and every soul, within each and every body, right? Prabhupada was saying, when you see a tree, just don't see a tree, see Krishna's energy, right? There's a Jiva Atma, Paramatma is there. It's earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, right? There's a reason why that living entity took the birth of a tree, right? If the tree's an illusion, he thinks he's happy, but he's standing out there in the sun. The pigs think they're happy. They're eating stool, right? But we think it's abominable, right? But the pig doesn't know any better, right? So they're obviously an illusion, but standing out there in the cold, snow all over them, right? They give shelter to the birds, the birds and the animals that nest in the tree and take shelter from the tree, whatever you come by. I think Maharaj mentioned this quite a few times too. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, right? Defending, security. You need housing, shelter, right? It's defending. The birds they got some sort of a sense or something. When they sense that we're kind of getting around or we're making motions or movements, they go into the tree. You ever notice that? Right. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're defending themselves. Right. They go in the tree. There's those cardinals, the red birds. I was trying to take a picture of it, but every time I move, they fly away. Those cardinals, yeah, they're fast ones. Right? Oh, fun ones, yeah. The hummingbird, yeah, the hummingbirds, yeah, the helicopter birds. Yeah, if you put a little feeder out there, they're around. We just don't see them. But if you put a feeder, they'll come around. Right. Yeah, I thought it was really magical. My grandfather was a cameraman for Disney Studios. And when I would visit my grandmother, she had a squirrel and a blue jay trained on the patio. The blue jay actually, she had me put the peanut in between my teeth, and the blue jay flew in the house and went out of my shoulder and took the peanut and flew back out on the table and ate it. And the squirrels were coming around doing the same thing. She had them trained. But yeah, you can train them. Actually, there's a bond between animals and humans. And Krishna, he can speak the animals' language. He can speak all of the animals' languages perfectly. Yeah, perfect. Krishna is like a expert linguist that he can even speak in the language of the animals. Oh, in fact, that's one of the sports that he performs when he's speaking with the gopis. One of the things they speak in the language of the cuckoos. The cuckoos are the cockatiels. Yeah, they have different. I guess they had some poetry that they would recite. Some of the terms, some of the words mean have double meanings, right? So Radharani was asking Krishna about his Vamsa, right? And I think it was about, she was referring to his dress, but he thought she was referring to, what's another thing what should be a Vamsa? But so what's that? The Amsa? The arm. So he replied in a way with the other meaning. And so Ryan, she's saying, no, I mean your form. I believe this is a nectar of devotion, right? Where they're actually like kidding and joking around with each other like that. So oh yeah, and that was another thing too, is that I guess there's like Das Avatar. There's the sannyasi was saying now, the Supreme Lord, he descends in the form of Varaha and Matsya and Hayagriva, it's a horse or a fish. Let's see, horse, Matsya, let's see, so Matsya is fish. Let's see, tortoise, which is Kurma, yeah, and Varaha, hog, Nrsinga, lion. So he said, so if the Supreme Lord is descending in so many different animal forms, why not also in a human form too? There's this human forms, Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna, like that, and different avatars. I think here in the West, I don't think we have too much of a problem with that. In fact, I think we have it like the other way around. How does the Supreme Lord manifest himself in the animal forms, right? Rather than the Supreme Lord manifests himself in animal forms, but not as a human, right? So are there any other questions or comments or any points of discussion? Yeah, you have a question?
So in the purport, we were hearing how Devahuti had complete faith in Kardamuni's ability to bestow the highest gift of transcendental consciousness on her. So how can we develop faith in our spiritual teachers? Or why should we have faith in our spiritual teachers?
Well, yeah, blind following is not recommended. So yeah, I was looking that up too. There's quite a few things I want to look up. It's like let's see, it's how to please the spiritual master or the grahasta husband, right? And so there were some specific principles there, right? And it's following 4 regular principles, following temple program. Was it engaging in service, right? Beneficial service. There's quite a few things that by pleasing the spiritual master, one can make an advancement. Otherwise, one cannot make any advancement unless one pleases the spiritual master, right? So serving the spiritual master like a menial servant, right? So here, Kardamuni, Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport, he was bestowing his blessings upon Devahuti, who Kardamuni, by his mystic powers, he could actually see or detect, right, the mysticism, which Devahuti could not see or detect until it was given to her, right? So the one knows when they're making advancement, it's just that like the taste of the pudding, right? Or one that feels satisfied after a full meal, right? But the spiritual master will give you more service or give you more details to your service, right? If the spiritual master is pleased with you, I always pray that spiritual master is pleased, right? So, one knows internally this way, But always pray that your spiritual master is not displeased, but that your spiritual master is pleased, or what? Oh yeah, that was what has been coming up an awful lot. Tesham Sata Yuktanam Brajata Pritipur Vikam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yanamam Upiyantate. To those who are constantly devoted and worshiping with love, I give the understanding by which to come to me. Right? Yeah, so there's like details. So you can always increase like that. You improve on the details, right? Like, we can always improve on our chanting, always improve on some details in our service. We can always try to be more conscientious and conscious, of our chanting, pronunciation, meter, the breath, don't chant some, double chanting, you chanting the mantra clearly, focused, centered, like right on it. Like that. Oh yeah, with Krishna in the heart. Oh yeah, and with feelings too, with love, calling like the mother for the child, mother, hara, like calling out for the child for the mother, very natural. You ever see that? It's like there's the babysitter, the mother. The mother and father's going away now, so they take the baby and they put it in the other woman's arms and it start to walk away. The baby cries, right? So mother hurrah, crying like the child crying for his mother, like that. So does that answer your question? Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. So maybe we can end class there. Srimad Bhagavatam class, Ki Jai.